John, you've been doing a little bit of testing this year. Tell me a little bit about some plans for next year with this beauty.
Next year? Well, my next year is I want to go racing. We didn't race much this year. We spent most of our time waiting for a racetrack to be open. So we've done a few changes. We switched over to methanol, and it looks like promising results.
Now, you're doing some, an engine like this, a little bit different than the pushrod motor. I know it has different clearances and different things like a lot of chains to drive cams and so on and so forth. And you're doing some experimenting with some different kinds of lubricants from Lucas. Fill us in a little bit on that and what you're learning and that kind of stuff.
Well, we've changed a few things in the lubricant package. They've made us some new stuff that seems to be working out really well. Unfortunately, you know, going to methanol, it requires a lot more oil changes, so we're going to need a lot more Lucas oil to keep this thing alive.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to be happy to see that.
Yeah, I think they will.
So you're very close to the fives. I mean, we were so close to the fives up in Vegas that it hurt. And I know the alcohol did make the car go faster, but you had some transmission issues, trying different transmissions and so on. Kind of pushed you back a little bit.
Well, we went as far as we could with the changes we wanted to make on the transmission, and we just ran out of time. Race day, we had to go back to something we knew would go down the track.
Yeah.
And we'll get an opportunity to test here again in a month or so, and we're going to push this thing into the fives. We've got to re-gear everything because in the last pass we ran 239 and we're just out of engine RPM. We've got to re-gear the trans, the rear end, and kind of start again.
I heard you going all the way up to 7,500 RPM with this engine.
Yeah, in the starting line.
I know you're hooking up a Spin Tron machine, and a lot of people, I think, are they don't know exactly what a Spin Tron can do and what you plan on learning from it. Kind of fill us in.
Well, the basics of what it can do is it's typically used for valve train analysis to determine if the valve train is working correctly or not, and then, of course, quantify any changes that you make to make it correct. One of the things that we're actually going to use it for right off the bat is developing a new oil pump. We want to be able to produce a new oil pump, and we needed a way to test it as well in a controlled environment. This was the easiest way to do it for us.
Should get you some interesting information, especially with all the chains and stuff that runs these modular motors and stuff like that. I know you're making setup with windows where you can actually see through these timing covers to see what's actually happening in there.
That's correct. We've made timing covers that you can see through. We've made an oil pan you can see through. We have valve covers that we made that we can see through. And basically the valve train ordinarily will get analyzed from holes that are in the side of the block. There's a laser that measures the valve train motion, and you can put it on the computer and take a look at that stuff.
Is this also the kind of thing, John, where you can find out some things about how some of the oil products work that you're working with Lucas too?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a way that we can actually physically see what's going on with the oil, particularly in the timing cover and the oil pan. You know, the assumption that we all have is it's just oil, you know, when you put it in an engine. But I think depending upon who made the oil and what ingredients are in it, you'll be able to determine if it's foaming or if it's not, if it's aerating or if it's not, and we'll be able to see if we've been able to actually make improvements or, you know, go the wrong way too. We should be able to visibly see it, and with video and with data gathering stuff, we'll be able to quantify in real time what's going on inside of these things.
Well, that sounds like a plan.
You know, rather than running an engine and waiting, you know, until you see a bearing problem, you know, we might be able to determine issues before you get to that point.
Is this something, when you were talking about the oil pump, is this something that would be more of a benefit for guys with normal wet sump systems or the dry sump, or doesn't it really matter?
The initial stuff that I want to work on is going to be typical wet sump, everyday stuff that the average guy is going to work with. Because for the masses of people that are going to buy this product, those are the guys we want to serve. So unfortunately, there isn't a like product on the market. Nobody even knows a problem exists. So for us to be able to sell that product, we're going to have to demonstrate visibly to all these people that, hey, there is a problem and we've got a solution for it.
John, like always, it's always fun to watch you in action.